Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
I've got something on my thing. It says two participants, you and me, and it says mute me or raise your hand. Oh, I know how to get it off.
Okay.
I just want to increase the volume.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I'm going to do the volume.
Okay.
Okay. Can you guys see if you can hear her?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Talk some more.
Can you hear me? I'm talking.
Yeah.
It's Janet.
Of course, have pens and paper out so yes.
So Janet, I don't know if you can see her, but this is Maria. These are all close friends of mine.
Hi, Maria.
Dottie.
Hi.
And beside her is
Sally. Hang on, Sally.
Dottie.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Janice.
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 Joplin. Janice S. Joplin. Yeah. I'm Mary Ellen.
Mary Ellen.
Linda.
Brenda. Hi. I'm Janet.
Linda.
Linda. All right. Good. Well, welcome to Kentucky.
Thank you. This is brand new technology.
Yes, yes. I haven't really done it much on this end. I've taken classes, but haven't taught by Zoom. I've done it with Skype before. So in the tradition of Carol, let's just each say something that is wonderful about today. So Carol, you want to start us off?
Well, I'm excited to have my friends here because even if we're in a room with only furniture, it would be happy and fun. So I know when we have all this creative stuff, it's going to be 100 times that.
Yeah, yay. All right. Who wants to go next?
I'll go. I'm Mary Ellen. Up there. I am happy to be here with my friends that I know and my friends that I have yet to make up there. And I love this creative kitchen.
Well, I love art journals, and I wanted to do one of these for a long time. And I started, and then I'd stop, and I started and stopped. So I'm excited because I think this is a day I'll follow through.
Oh, good.
I'm excited to do mixed media and just delve into my basement and pull out all the junk I've been saving for God knows what, and and to be with friends. So it's been
Yeah.
I told Carol I didn't even sleep last night. I was so excited to get here today and do this and be creative. And,
Wow.
and you know, it's a wonderful way to use some of those things that I have in my mind for 40 years. Oh, I'll do something with this, like a special picture or card or, you know, all these little things. And so the idea of using something in a journal, and then maybe I'll be able to let go of some of those other scraps.
Yeah. It's a good way to save stuff in a condensed form.
Yes, that I'll know is special. You know, I like that.
Yeah.
And I'm excited just to be creating.
Yes, good.
Is that everything?
Everybody.
Okay, that's great.
I'm excited to be able to share with new friends.
I'm excited you have purple on.
Yeah. I did have the scarf, but I got hot.
You match.
Pretty
It's a felted scarf from Nepal that I got at a secondhand shop for $5.
Whoa.
I'm so excited. So I'm going to share some book examples that I've made to give you some ideas. The idea of junk journals is to use up whatever stuff you have. You can call it junk, ephemera, tickets and pictures or anything like that. Or some people just make it with all new materials to color coordinate, and they like that style. So it's whatever you like. And I have really gotten into them because I'm making wrap junk journals. And so all my wrap lists are going in the journals so that they can be in one book. And each pocket has a space where you can write part of your wrap list. So that's been real exciting for me to combine the wrap and the junk journals. So have you seen the one that I sent Carol with the envelopes? Yeah. So that one was really hard for me because there's lots of different ways to fold the envelopes and to stick them together and stuff. So we're not going to do that today because that's a little bit more to explain. So what we're going to do is one like this. And so this is one that I made out of manila envelopes like that you guys are going to have the opportunity to make. So the base of it is the envelope. And then I put a napkin and glued it on the front and back. And so so that's one idea, or you can paint it or draw or collage or anything. And then this flap is the flap of the envelope, and I just put a little bit of extension by sewing a little bit more to make it bigger to go clear around the whole book. And so you can see that it's the width of that manila envelope folded open, and then on each page I just put pockets and different things to be able to store what I want in there. So this one particularly is about wrap, and so it has those. So like this is an envelope that's glued on the next page so that the flap of the envelope is connected, and then it opens so that you can put stuff in there. So this is just a picture I put in there that I liked out of a magazine. And that was just an envelope that had been used. It was a greeting card, and I just left the words on it. That just adds to it. And then I put a little picture and some washi tape. And then this is just a picture I collaged out of a magazine. And then this is a little pocket that I just glued 3 sides of a piece of scrapbook paper. And then you can put a card in there. So this is a card. And then here's some, I glued some an old Sears and Roebuck catalog page in there. And so like this card is just scrapbook paper, and so you can journal in it. So that kind of gives you an idea of what you can do. So you can have little pockets and envelopes and things like that. So anytime you have any questions, just holler out. Do you have any comments or anything so far?
I love it. So this, the envelope will go in half?
Yes.
Like that?
Yes. And I sent a bunch of papers if you want to use those, or or if you brought some. And so whatever kind of papers you want to put in there, you'll be laying them on your manila envelope and then folding it in half. And then we're going to stitch it, and then you can add your pockets and stuff. So I don't know if you need more examples, just different pages.
Question, please?
What?
Can you ask a question?
Yes.
We have a 9x12 envelope and 11x14 envelope. So, for example, on the 9x12, do I have to have a 9x12 sheet of paper, or is 8.5 by 11 going to be all right?
The paper can be any size, because if it's bigger than your envelope, we can fold in and make a little flap. So it can be, it'd be nice to...
Of those 20 papers, then.
Yeah.
They could be various sizes.
Yeah. Yeah, various sizes. I'd use the bigger envelopes.
Even smaller?
The bigger envelopes.
Okay.
Yeah. Then you'd have more room. And so like on this page, I glued it at, I glued it at the top, so then it's like a flip up. And then this, I glued some like ledger paper, and so it's a flip down. So you can journal or put a picture or whatever you want on there. And then underneath is some music paper. So that, and then this was just a perfume bottle picture out of a magazine. So I just kind of like that on there. So you could have a theme or just random things that you like. This is a glossy page out of, what do you call it, like a tabletop book that had really nice pictures, and it happens to be like underwater scenes. So, and then here's some more music sheet. Here's a Mary Engelbright picture that I liked, and then I just put a little bit of paint around it to frame it. And washi tape. You can always use washi tape to reinforce if any edges or folds look thin, or on the edge is decorative. So here I put it on the, just to have a little bit of decoration. And this is a dictionary page that I folded up. It was longer than the page, so I just folded it up and put some washi tape, and then that made a pocket. And then this is I put lines on the back to make a little journal area. So in your book, you could have it just be pictures and things to collect, or you could have it be a journal where you have blank spaces and you go back later and you can journal in it and use it as a journal. And so this was a page out of a magazine, and I glued 3 sides so that it's a side pocket. And then this is just like stationery that already had lines on the one side and a pretty picture on the back. And then see, this page is a little bit smaller than the manila envelope, and that's okay. Some are big and some are little. Here's a ledger page, and I just put a little sticker on there. Here's some Braille paper, and I painted it. And so I could put a picture on there, journal or whatever. And then it was, I connected it here on another page and then folded it out. And so makes it bigger, and it could even be bigger. And here I put some little cards in a kind of a little tuck. I could tape that down if I want, or just have it open. And then this is just nice, pretty scrapbook paper that I liked. And so then this was a flip up. And again, another piece of stationery that had lines on it that I liked in there. So, and I said support is, and so I'll journal later on that. And then here's a little paper clip that I have a little ticket on one side and then glued a stamp on the other side and put a paper clip in the middle with some string. And so then that can clip pages in so they can be removed. And then I put it on the outside here and just clipped it with the paper clip. Any questions so far?
Why do we have 2 sizes of envelopes? Is it so we can make 2 different sizes? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think Carol just had both, so. And then this is an example of a page that is narrower. It was smaller, and so I just stitched it down the middle, and so it's narrower than the page, and so that's just how it goes. And so I kind of like that look. And then I made a pocket because it was longer, and I folded it up and just put a journal page in there. And then this was a calendar pocket. Some calendars have pockets at the bottom, so I cut it off and then I sewed it in there and then put it sideways so then the pocket is formed. And then I just glued some paper on the back of it. And then this page I drew some lines if you want to journal. And this was just a page that I'd painted. I know some of you Zentangle, so you could use some of your Zentangle papers. And this is, again, just tucked up in there. And this was a calendar page. And it ends up being upside down on this side, but it's right side up on the other. And that's okay because it's covered up anyway. So if there's a page of your paper that you don't really like, or you don't like the wording on it, you can paint on it, or you can put a picture or a pocket over it. So it's okay that you don't like it. So on this side, the picture looks right side up. And then this is a book page, a French book page, and I just stitched the sides to make a pocket.
Dennis, what size was your manila envelope?
Let me measure. Looks like it's about 12 by 9, like a 9 by 12.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then this is another calendar page that I folded up to make the pocket. And then I just glued some pictures on the back, and then I drew lines. This was just a page out of a nature book that I liked, and then drew lines. And then this is, they call it fussy cut, when you see something that you like out of a magazine and you cut it close to the object. And so, and then I just glued it on, the little guy. So what I glued,
that word?
fussy cut, yeah,
Fussy cut.
fussy. And I glued it onto a placemat, you know, like when you go to a restaurant and there's a paper placemat. And so that's what I used. And again, the size was a little different, so I folded in the edge and then made another little pocket. And then here's just a piece of Braille paper that I folded over on both sides and connected. And then I have a little guy in there. And then this is washi tape across the top. And so on the other side of that Braille paper, I folded it and glued it and then put a little picture on there. So then that makes a pocket. And then I made the pocket, and then I put like a bookmark. Just made it by stapling a ribbon to the top and just put some words on it that I like, but you could Zentangle or paint or whatever on, make a tag. And then this is a calendar page, and I put a little sticker in the corner. So you can decorate it however you want. And again, fold it up to make pockets, and then put, so this is the center where I stitched. So this was how many papers, and then put them together and then stitch the middle. And so now, from now on, is the second half of those papers that I stitched in there. So here's the back of the calendar.
Did you use your sewing machine or floss and holes?
I used the holes, and I used string, but yeah, you'll be using the floss. This I just used some kind of string, yeah, purple. And this has 5 holes. You could do 3 holes or 5 holes. And I made it so that you start from the outside and pull the thread in, and I'll show you how to do that, because I wanted to be able to have the string on the outside, and then I put like little ribbons and little charms. And then this is called a boho bead, and you take a straw and you wrap a little bit of fabric and wire and beads around it, and then you put it on a little dangly pin just for added decoration and a little piece of string. Here's a author's card that's connected to a bookmark, so that kind of hangs out. And you could have, like this I have is a tab, so I just stapled a little piece of fabric to make a little tab. Here's a little tiny envelope with the paper clip, and then inside there is a little note. Here's another little guy with the paper clip at the top, just for fun. And here's a calendar page. Here's a page that I painted. And then on the back is journaling. It says some of my favorite fun activities that keep me moving. So, and then this is
that's a Mary Engelbreit calendar page, isn't it?
Yeah.
I have a whole bunch of those here.
Yeah, they're fun. And then this is the second half of that placemat. And I put some washi tape on it and folded it up to make a pocket. And then here's some Asian dictionary page and another Mary Englebright page. And I just stuck that in the side. So you can decorate as much as you want. You can draw on it or pictures. And here I wrote some words on the pocket. I used black paint to make a cover up the background. Here I made an envelope out of that tabletop book, glossy paper, and then put another picture in it. And then it goes in the pocket. So some things are for decoration and some are to journal on and some are just special papers that I have. Here's just a couple more calendar pages. Are you able to see okay?
Yeah.
And then here's a postcard. It's fun to get old postcards that have writing on it and the old stamp. So sometimes I put those in. So this was the other half of that painted page, and I folded up to make a little pocket there. Here's just a little card that I painted, and I put lines to journal on the back. Here's my business card. And then here's like a little book that I made out of map material, and I stitched the top. Are you getting ideas?
Yeah.
Yes.
And here's,
How many hours did that take?
it's a lot. I spend a lot of hours on it. I do. I enjoy it, but yeah, it is a lot of hours. So, and this is the other half of that calendar that had the pocket. So that's, made into another pocket and a journal page. Here's some washi tape to make a little tab just for fun. And again, like it's narrower, that's okay. That's just how I like it. Here's just a blank page. I can do whatever I want on there. This is just scrapbook paper, made the pockets. Again, the tab out of just paper. Here's the Sears and Roebuck little article there. Ledger paper. Here's a picture that I liked out of a magazine, so I made it into a pocket. Here's a thank you card. And so I just cut it off the thank you card and used the front and then made it into a journal page. And this is a dictionary page made into a pocket because it was real long. So I folded it up, used washi tape to reinforce. Here's an old postcard with writing. Here's a Sears and Roebuck order paper that I stamped. If you like stamping, you could use that. Whatever you like doing, you can put in the book. If you like scrapbook paper, or if you like Zentangles, or, stenciling and all that kind of stuff. Here's a little pocket with a paper clip, another little tab, music paper, notebook paper with washi tape. Here's I made a bookmark by putting two cards together with the ribbon and then two more author cards to make a bookmark. Here's another postcard I made into a journal page. Here's a little fold out of an Asian paper to journal on. And so you can journal on each page of it. This was an old stationery that I just cut a piece out of and made a pocket on the pocket and put a little journal card. And then this is an envelope, and inside is a booklet, which in the WRAP program, you write a crisis plan. So here's a whole booklet of the crisis plan, and I stitched it and then had the questions. So you could make little booklets because it's real thin, just a few pages. And then I made the envelope and then put it in the pocket. And then this is, you can see the manila envelope underneath. I didn't cover on this side. the napkin just went up that far and I didn't cover here. And so you can see the clasp. And so what I did was on the post-crisis plan, I poked the hole and then made a card out of it. But where that hole is, I put over that clasp. And so then that's what keeps it in. So you could do that. And then just press that down. And then since it's an envelope, there's an end open that you can also put a card in if you want, or little goodies. And then if you want, you could cut open the other end of the envelope because it'll be sealed by your stitching, and then you can have another pocket on this side. I didn't, I just kept it for the reinforcement, and my button poked the thread through there, so I didn't have a pocket there, but you could have a pocket on the front too. And then I sewed a little bit extra canvas material to make the flap even longer so that it would go clear around, because you can see it does poke out a little bit more than the envelope, just the way my pages, I didn't cut them small, and so a lot of them poked out, and so then I just used that as a closure. And I put 2 little grommets and put a string through it so that it makes a closure, and I stitched a button on the front so that it will stay on there. And then I just glued the wording on there, and then added my buttons and ribbon last, because while you're working on it, it makes it bulky if you have it while you're working. So
What size were the pages you put inside that manila envelope?
So most of them were like 9 inches by, they were probably like 9.5 by 11, and then maybe folded and cut some of them. Yeah. So if your manila envelope ends up being, if it was 12 inches long and you fold it in half, it's 6 inches. So your pages will be 6 inches wide and then, like 9 inches tall. So if you have a regular piece of typing paper that's 8.5 by 11, if you put it on its side and fold it, it'll fit in there nicely. So.
Okay, so 9.5 by 11 are the sheets that you put in there?
9.
Could you use 8.5 by 11?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is what you're going to do, is you're going to pick out your envelope if you're using the bigger one or the smaller one. And then you're going to pick out, say, about 20 pages and lay them on there like this. So first I have my envelope, and I cut the end just a little bit so that it'll end up having a pocket on each side. And so I put a little piece of cardboard in there just to kind of reinforce it. And so when you lay that,
cardstock for pages?
yeah, you can use cardstock. I think this was like the back of a pad of paper or something, it was just thin, or you could use a cereal box. And you can do that later. If you don't have it now, you can always slide it in there later. So you'll have your envelope, and then you'll just pick out like 20 pieces of paper. So the first paper that I picked, this one's 9.5 by like 8 3/4. So this one's smaller than the space, and that's okay. That's how I liked it being shorter, so that when you first open it, it was a little bit shorter. you can have it go clear to the edge. You can pick paper that goes clear to the edge, or have it be big and then fold it in some.
Yeah,
So,
because a lot of the paper we have is 8.5 by 11.
yeah, yeah. And so being on its side, it'll work great. Yeah. And so, so then like my first piece of paper is just going to go in there. I folded it in half and just laid it in there like that. And so then the next paper,
Well, you don't have to do it long. You better make one large.
and then the next paper was, I got at a thrift store. It happened to be the log of the yacht. And so people would write in there when they went yachting. So I liked that because it had lines. So then I folded that in half and I just put that on top. And so I just kept going till I have like about 20 pieces. So see, it doesn't go completely to the edge. Some will and some don't. So then the next piece that I have, oops, is a piece of the Braille paper. And it was real big, so I cut it down. And so I just had the center be the center and folded that, put it in the fold, and then I just cut it so that it would fit. And then I have an art sheet that just had, you know, that goes up and down. So I folded it in half and it'll go on its side. And it's just kind of an odd art coloring. And I glued a piece of envelope to one side so that when you open this side, you have your little envelope thing.
I like that.
But you can do that later. You don't have to do it right at first. And then the next page was a kid's book page. I kind of liked the simple words. And it was a little bit thin in the middle, so I put some washi tape down the middle to reinforce it. And so I put that in there. And then this was like a lined paper. And I actually made an envelope already of an animal and made a pocket. So that goes in there. And see, on this side, it goes to the edge, but on this side it doesn't. But that's okay, because when you're looking through it, that's the fun of it. They're just all different sizes. But if you want them all to be the same size, you can do that too. And then this is a kind of a weird art page that I liked. And so since it's tall, I put it on its side and folded it in half. And that fills it up. And you can have torn pages or cut if you like them, you know, smooth with the cut edge, or if you like the rough. And then this page was longer, or it was wider than the book, because it was a page out of a book, illustrated, Puss in Boots. And if I use that fold, it's wider than my manila envelope. So I fold it over to make a pocket so that it'll fit in my manila envelope. So when you open it, you'll have a pocket on that side and you'll have a pocket on that side. So it was bigger and I just folded it. Here's I used to do stamp collecting, and so this was a page out of the stamp collecting book. And I liked it because it's kind of graph paper looking, yeah. And so it has the holes in it, that's fine, you know, like that just adds. So I laid that in there, folded it in half. And this is a piece of scrapbook paper that's real heavy that I liked. So I put that in there. It's kind of nice to have thick and thin paper. If you have too many thin papers close together, then it's kind of flimsy. So it's nice to have the variety. Here's a piece of graph paper that was, it feels different. I don't know what you call that. It's kind of glassine or something, I don't know. But I liked it, so I put that in there. And see, it's a little bit different size, so that's just how it goes. And here's just a plain piece of colored cardstock. And that's pretty heavy, so that can go in. And here's just a small piece of Braille paper. And so I can put it at the top or the middle or the bottom, just so that it gets stitched in there. I'll probably, you know, put it in there like that. So when you flip through, you'll have that small page. And then here's a ledger page. And I'm putting the holes at the bottom for whatever reason. So. And then this is a page of scrapbook paper on one side and just blank on the other, putting that in. Here's a piece of like tissue deli paper. So I put that in, and it was a little bit wide, so I folded it, and I fussy cut a butterfly and glued it on the end. And so I'll lay that in there. So that'll make a nice little pocket fold out. Here's a music sheet. And I like this music sheet because it's vertical instead of horizontal. So that fits in there nice. Here's a piece of scrapbook paper that's narrow. So that's gonna go in there. Here's a page from the phone book. And here's a little map. I think I glued it to it, no. I started already gluing some stuff in there, I got excited. So here was a book that was this size, and it was all bike maps in Europe. And so I liked that, so I just took that page, and it's small, but that's okay, I'll just put that in there, and I actually glued a little envelope on that already. So I'm gonna put that in there. And again, at the bottom, middle, or top, just so that it gets stitched in there. And then here's the phone book page. Especially if you have someone that you know, or your name in the phone book, you could use that page. And then here's a little pocket that I made that has 3 pockets, and I put a little bit of washi tape, and that's just out of a book page. And then I put some Braille painted paper in there, and those can be little journal cards. So I'll glue that in there. And then this is just a page out of a book of photos that I liked. And it was thin, so I reinforced it with some Scotch tape. And then I'm gonna put an envelope in the center, just because I like that. And I'm gonna stitch along the middle there where the fold is. So it's gonna be stitched in there. And then I'm gonna glue that shut, and I've cut the end of it open, so the end will be the pocket, and that'll cover up in the middle there. So, and that's about, I think that was about 20 pages or so. So if you guys have, do you have any questions?
I have a couple. When you talk about stitching, are you using like a carpet or upholstery needle with some heavier, like real heavy thread? Or I was wondering how you do that stitching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She has some needles. I don't know exactly what she has. Here's the needle that I have. It's not real thick.
Big needle. Yeah.
Yeah.
You almost have to have a really big, sharp needle to get through all that.
And do you have an awl?
You know what? I did not bring one. I meant to. Yeah.
I think Carol has one.
Okay.
So what you can do now is pick out the envelope that you're going to use, and then get about 20 sheets of paper, and that'll take us a little bit, and fold your manila envelope in half, and then get your papers and fold them how you want and the order of them so that it ends up looking like this, and then we'll do the stitching.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so if you want to just go ahead now and pick out your paper of what you want to put. And if you do cut any off because you want it to be a certain size, you can save those scraps and use them as tags and pockets and stuff later, so they don't have to be thrown away. But if they're bigger, you can fold them in for pockets, or you can cut them off to fit into your envelope book.
And how long do we have with you this afternoon?
I pretty much have all afternoon, so so yeah, I don't know how long you guys are going to be there, but I can be here for several hours, a few hours. So,
That's fabulous. Fabulous.
did you guys have lunch?
What do you want to do while we get our papers?
I'll just work on my stuff too.
All right.
Oh, great.
And if you have any questions or, comments or like anything, I'm available.
Okay. How fun. Did she send us stuff?
And you started singing.
Some of it's fine.
I'm not even gonna use
What is this?
Look at this.
Yeah, isn't it
I brought
gorgeous?
some music paper.
Did you?
I'm so anxious to get a piece of that braille.
Here you go.
Yeah, me too.
Oopie doopie.
I know. I
What's
tried
this?
to
They have braille paper?
Yeah, I saw it when I came in, so I had to grab it if I'm not careful. Where do you find braille paper?
I don't know. Online, Amazon.
Is there paper somewhere else or is this?
Yeah, on the
I brought some.
sofa and on the chest.
You,
Carol, you know
got
it's
quite a
easier to find
collection.
it like this.
Oh, I think that's one. Okay, here. There's one.
Oh,
There's another
look.
one. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I love that.
Wow. Do you want to split that somehow, or are you going to use a whole
Let's
sheet
see
of
how
it?
much we have.
I wonder what it says. I want to know what it says.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Oh, that's
Here, see what we
fabulous.
got.
Fabulous. Carol, this is so fun. I feel like I'm sticking my rear end. I'm sorry. Pardon me. I'm passing right by there.
That's okay.
Remind me to get plastic glasses. In case we want, like on one of those, did you look at any of those YouTubes for junk journals?
Yes.
Some of them, one of them used that PVA but watered down. And it looked like you
I
could
have
use
some.
it to affix it and to seal it.
Seal it, yeah.
But she had hers watered down.
Yeah, she did.
Now, did she send these items?
Yes.
Oh, how wonderful. Thank you for sending this box of goodies. These are so special,
You're welcome.
so different, and all the way from Kentucky.
Yeah.
I love it.
I have some upstairs. I have more. If you guys think of anything you want, just say it. I probably have it.
Ah. I could spend the rest of my life just going through everybody else's piles of papers. It's so entertaining. It's like looking at books on a shelf,
You know what she did? She sent us whatever she was using. I mean, whatever she put in here, she saved for herself so she could work with us.
How nice. How nice.
Did you guys have lunch?
No, I hope they ate before they came because I'm not feeding them.
I had a bite to eat before I came.
I ate before I came. La 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 la. Oh, that's a I knew you had a paper cutter, Carol. I saw it. In fact, I was telling Linda when she was cutting something. I said, "You need to go do that on the paper cutter." She said no. She was fine.
Shannon, how long have you been junk journaling?
Just a few months, yeah, just this year.
Oh my goodness, really?
Yeah.
Fabulous.
I've made other, kinds of books and stuff, but getting into this kind of the junk journaling, and I've made a lot of them. Like here's one I made with the Braille, painted Braille cover.
Oh,
It has a little book.
Has to present
Yeah.
it. Nice. Treats.
And then
March
do you find that
21st, I
you're putting
already
them on
announced
a
it.
schedule?
She knows it
You know,
because
like,
I have them in a basket.
okay, because I was thinking, gee, do I want to put a title or a title something on the edge of the,
Yeah, you could, yeah. Here's one that I made out of that book, bike map book.
did you see this?
And I took some gauze, just
Okay.
medical gauze, and I just spritzed it with ink and painted it,
Oh, how
and
beautiful.
then put some little dangles.
Yeah,
And so I just kept the cover as it was.
yeah.
And then just each page I covered with a magazine.
Yeah.
And then
There are most
you can glue the ends of the pages so that it makes a pocket.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I did that a lot. And like this one, I did short and then a little pocket there. And so every page I put pictures on. And so made pockets sideways and then the little clips.
Right.
Here, let me pick some up for you.
Nice. And do you find yourself continually adding to, even after you think one is finished?
Yeah,
You think, oh,
Is
this
that
would go
Christmas
good in
Carol?
that one.
yeah, yeah. They're ever changing. And like this one, I liked, being able to use, I got a book that had a lot of really beautiful photography in it. And so I just tore it up and used it on all the pages. And so like on this tab, I used some of the gauze and just stuck it through there. So that's always fun to make. And like some days, one day I'll just make tabs and another day I'll make the little dangles and
Yeah.
or little envelopes and stuff. And then this has a little card.
Oh, that's great.
And then this one, I made a little grommet and then put a little piece of fabric.
Nice. Yeah. I'm always obsessed a little bit with pop-up books. Do you ever do pop-ups?
Yeah, I've tried it some. I haven't done it a lot. They're kind of, you have to be so precise. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I love that though. It brings the child out,
Yeah. Yeah. And so this one was a little card and I just put a little string at the top.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. And then I have a circle hole punch and I can poke the holes so it makes a little place where you know that the
Right.
is going to go in there.
Yeah. Like a finger tap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. And here's another little piece of fabric stapled on. And this was a card that was sent to me and I just liked it. So I just used the cover and then glued a recipe card on the back for the lines.
Yeah, that's a great way to use cards that you
Yeah.
know of yet.
And then this is just a paper sewn for the tab. And then this was I sewed around and then put a little bit of fabric on top.
And do you insert photographs too of your own?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Of your own loved ones? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, other than the wrap, I'm sorry, I'm going on and on. I'm so intrigued. Other than the wrap subject matter, what other journals have you done?
Yeah, I've done just personal ones. And I've done them like for birthdays. Like this one I painted
Yeah.
and put the little dangles. And so this one doesn't have anything to do with wrap. And I just put little quotes and all painted pages that I painted myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
Like the map pages and stuff. And then,
Of having it be a continuing project on something that you want to work on personally in your life. At this
yeah,
moment. Some of us, I haven't been involved specifically with rap. I'm aware of it because Carol has told me all about it. But
yeah,
I just was trying to keep just different things about, identifying what values are really important to you at this stage of our life, and that, because those kinds of things change, and
yeah.
maybe I would try to pull in some things that I've been meditating on, or, trying.
Exactly. Perfect. Yeah. And then you could have a lot of blanks pages that you can journal about it. And if you don't like it, you can tear it out or put a picture over it, or
Yeah, just
know.
come over it.
Yeah. So here's the first one that I made, and it's a lasagna box.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Look at the first one she made. I love it. I love it.
And so, you know how you're getting 20 pages to put in your book? I did that times 3. So this is 3 signatures that I stitched into that. And then this is just all sorts of just random stuff that I like, tickets and things, and like I entered my journal in the fair, and I got like a ribbon for it. I put that in there.
Congratulations.
Believe me. It's kind of participation ribbon, but like on the front, just a photograph out of a book that I liked, and some quotes and stuff, and then just like a kid's book. Here's a sticker that says I voted,
Yeah.
and googly eyes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's great.
And just random stuff that's meaningful to me, like tickets or people's business cards that I liked that was real colorful. I saved that, because otherwise, what do you do with them? Put it in the drawer,
Yeah, well, that's what I've been doing.
Yeah. And so I had written this poem, and it was kind of lengthy, so I have it throughout the book. So like this is part, I wrote part of the poem on various pages. So then
You get out of the way.
and this was a piece of wrapping paper that I just put in there that I liked. And so again, I wrote part of that poem. Here's a piece of really like thin interfacing. Here's just kind of a weird bookmark thing that I like to paint. And again, here's part of the poem that I put. And here I made this little butterfly thing because I saw them online. I thought they were cool, but then what do you do with them? So I just glued that in, made a little pocket. I like that little fruit thing, so I just stuck in. So it's just lots of little different textures, papers, and colors. It's practicing using my little cutter thing there. Here's a picture of my family, at a wedding photo booth. Again, part of that poem. Here's just a pocket. Here's some more of that poem. Here's an old Dixie Chicks CD booklet. And so I glued the pages together to make pockets.
Oh, yeah.
And I liked this picture postcard, a real old postcard, and then that's part of the poem on there. And then just little tags and stuff. And here's sometimes when you buy stuff at the thrift store, it'll have a tag. And so I painted on it and said, deep breathe.
Yeah.
So here's another old postcard, and I added more of the poem on it. Here was a business card from someone that I really cared about, so I just want to keep that forever. So just stick that in there. There's just some little country tin, you know, just little ticket thing that what do you do with them?
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So this one, you know, I sometimes when I collect something, I'll just add to it.
Right.
Here you can get kind of fun paper clips sometimes.
Yeah, I have a few of those.
Here's some little stickers. Here's a receipt that meant something to me. And again, the pages are all different sizes. I like them sticking out weird.
Yeah, I do too. I like that.
And here's like a map page. Maps are fun. Here's like a little girl, and I put a string at the top so that she kind of,
Dangles. Huh?
yeah. And then this was just a little picture that I liked. And I just put it on the back of some watercolor. Made a little pocket there. Here's a picture of some relatives, you know, stuck them in there. Just printed it on the printer, nothing, you know. And I just said the date that they came to visit. Here's some like scratch board. Here's like another one of those like little tickets that you just get when you buy something.
Yeah.
Tissue paper.
Somebody said 12.
Here's some little dangly papers that I painted. More of the poem. Scrapbook pages. This I thought kind of looked like a snake. So map. My husband bicycles, so I put a picture of that. This was an old card that I'd gotten years and years ago of this chocolate. It's called Chocolate Fetish. I thought that was cool. And I've just always saved it, so I made a little tab out of that. Here's a little label from Bite an Eraser. Still put some more of the poem on there. This is a label out of a piece of clothing. Here's a little picture I painted. This has, this was paper that that I would just dry my brush on, so it had just kind of weird leftover paint, but I liked it. And then this was just random stuff. Here's my daughter and son.
Oh, nice.
And I'll probably look at that more with it being in here than I would in a photo album on the shelf, you know, because it.
What I was just thinking. And also, I like the idea too that if it's a continual project, you know, like I said, you know, working personally on values and this and that, it's something to just keep going at.
Yeah.
Kind of, you know, get it really in my brain, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, you can keep adding things that pertain and then see the progression.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And this was, I had cut these ladies out and made them years ago, and they were just always laying around. Just I glued them on there and put some legs just to use them up. Yeah. You know, they kind of turned out good. I liked them, and I didn't want to just throw them away, but what do you do with it? So just stuck them in there. And this was an old children's book. And so that was so this was, you know, like the 20 pages signature all in that children's book. And so I followed that theme. And so then each section is in those children's book pages. So there it is, the next section. So I sewed each one in. So, and this like was some instructions with all different languages on it.
That's what I love the foreign language aspect.
Yeah. Here was just a little painting that I did. Oh, and I'm from Kansas, so this was an article I came across about Mount Sunflower. It's the tallest point in Kansas, which is not very tall. And so I thought that was neat, you know. So here's an envelope that was from Australia, so it has really cool stamps on it. So I stuck that in there. just things that I want to save. This was like a map of Portland, Oregon, and my daughter is the manager of a clothing shop, and so I circled her clothing shop, you know, as a memento.
Yeah, made the paper.
Here's a little tea bag
Oh, yeah.
top, and then I made this tiny little pocket to go, and then this folds out, and this little girl that I was helping to do art with drew this little picture, so I just stuck it in there. Here's a tarot card. I don't do tarot, but I like the card. I just got it at the thrift store, so I just use it as a pocket. I hope it's not something evil. Evil on me, I don't know. And then this was, my husband sent me flowers, and so this was the card with it, so I just stuck that in there. And this is instructions on putting my cart together, my art cart, so I just use that as a page. Here's a ticket for Ripley's Believe It or Not, so I use that as a tab. Here was a note from an artist online. I ordered something from her and she sent a nice little personal note, so I just kept that. Had this circle, so I glued that in there. Here's a bus pass that I glued in. Pictures of carrots, I thought they looked pretty. Here was some words from a medical dictionary that were cool. I cut out a puzzle piece shape. Here's a German something or other I thought was cool. Here's like a little Zentangle that I did. Stenciling pictures. I liked her pictures. I put that in there. Here's a postcard that I glued in.
Well, you've been busy in these months that you're talking about, just having gotten started.
Yeah.
Very productive. I'm impressed.
Oh, here's another picture of our family. And I used the cover of a book, and so just put the whole cover in there.
Yeah.
You could put the perfume that smells good out of magazines, put that page in there. Here's a page about camping.
Yeah, that way it won't get to smelling musty.
Yeah, here's some little tickets that I used on the edge for tabs. We went to Dollywood and they have a doggy wood for the dogs. That we put our dog in there, so he had his own little dog pass, so I stuck that in there.
Oh, nice.
Again, Sears and Roebuck has great, you know, pictures from
Yeah,
there.
some of those old catalogs.
Yeah,
Just got rooms full of stuff, you know.
yeah.
I overwhelmed myself about how do I want to start this.
Yeah. Here's a library card and envelope. Those are fun. Here's just a little picture that I painted. This, we bought a house one time and that was our realtor. What do you do with the card, you know? So I just stuck it in there.
That's great. That's great. Thank you for sharing all that.
Sure.
I'm getting behind. I know I'm getting behind. The girls are going to put pressure on me.
Here's one that I made out of a macaroon box.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so that was small, you know, and so all the papers in there, like, you know, smaller. One that I used an existing book and just decorated each page.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, those are easy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've done a couple of those. People want to.
yeah. You can get those real easily at thrift stores.
Sure. Yeah.
If there's things in there that are precious.
How's everybody doing getting their papers?
We're getting there.
Good, good.
This is a book Janet made. This one.
Oh, yeah. I was going to show some other books that I've made weren't junk journals, but just art. So this one I just painted all the pages
Oh my gosh, I love it.
and then stitched that together and then put the ribbon.
Oh, nice.
You were talking about values. I made a little book called My Values,
Oh, yeah.
and it has a little key for the cover.
Oh, yeah.
And then each page is a word that's a value of mine.
Uh-huh, yeah. Yeah.
So it's painted.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Yeah. And then some of them fold out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very clever.
Yeah, it's fun. So I was just making books for a while, and then I discovered the junk. And then to combine it with the wrap was what I was excited about, because all those wrap lists, you know, are usually in a notebook. And so if you can have them like on cards and, you know, do it that way. Here's one out of paper bags, folded, like lunch paper bags. So this is the paper bag usually. So if you fold it in half, you can make a little book out of that. And then each end is a pocket.
Exactly. Yeah. That gives you a nice neutral background to work
Yeah.
into.
And then you can, you know, put whatever pictures you want on there and tuck in. And again, with this, you could make a junk journal out of the paper bags and then put your ephemera of tickets and pictures and junk mail and everything and paint on them and just put it in that format of the paper bags. Here's one just with scrap.
How do you have all your things organized there when you, do we get to see your closet or anything?
Yeah, I can show you. Yeah.
You have photographs together probably for sure. But
So like, let me see if I can show it. So see these banners on the wall? I did a lot of those and sold them and did that for a long time. So I did banners a lot. And so, so when we moved to this house about 4 years ago, this is the master bedroom. And my husband said, why don't you just go ahead and use the master bedroom as your art room and we can sleep in one of the other rooms.
okay.
So I have a walk-in closet and a bathroom with the whole huge art space, and I have windows and stuff. So I'll move the camera so you can see. So
I love it.
So here's some of my shelving and printer and stuff and books and
That's great.
and so then that's the bathroom in there. And then my husband gets a little corner over here to put his bike stuff. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah, some bicycle stuff on that wall, so. But, and then I have some windows here looking out.
Look at Kentucky girls. Look at Kentucky out the window. Oh, I'm so excited.
And so we have a salt block out there and the deer come up and lick the salt block.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Oh, look at that view. Oh.
And so then this is my work area. I don't know if I can, let me see. So these are the things that I use a lot.
Yeah.
And then here I have some other stuff. I don't know, is it in the picture there? And then I'll show you my closet.
You don't have to. I was just kidding.
Let me see.
She was going to shoot us her closet.
Let me see your closet.
So here's our paper, different papers, and these are drawers, big cabinet with fibers and stuff.
Getting organized over here.
So here's my supply closet.
My goodness.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Oh, this inspires me.
Oh,
Wow. I love it. I see.
Yeah.
I'm overwhelmed at home trying to organize, all the stuff I've just,
Yeah,
forever.
yeah.
Too good to throw away, like to make things out of. So, yeah. Did you put up all those shelves in your closet that way?
No, they were here when we came, so that made it easy. Yeah. I use these plastic bins a lot. These, yeah, those are real handy because I can separate, postcards and, different kinds of card and paper and stuff. So that's handy.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. I always love to see a person's workspace.
Yeah.
I'm constantly buying those books. Have you seen those lovely publications that are called Where Women Create?
Yeah, those are so neat. Sometimes they're all color coordinated.
Okay, I'll get busy, girls.
I have my sheets from the wordless writing
Oh,
class.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Something.
Remember Carol's phone number.
I do. Do you remember your phone number from when you were growing up? I don't. I used to. The what? Yeah.
Here's a book that I made out of toilet paper rolls.
I love it. Oh my gosh, that's great. Now, did you paint all that on there?
Yeah,
Is that watercolor or acrylic?
yeah, watercolor. And then each tube I flattened and then it made it into a pocket.
Our talking special.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Oh my gosh. Now that is thinking outside the roll. That's great.
I can't make decisions very well.
I figured you were avoiding something. I know me. I know what I do when I'm avoiding something.
Oh, wow.
I don't even feel that the 20 pages matters that much. I mean, we're gonna be, as we're gonna be decorating. Yeah, so really, it's not like they have to coordinate in any way. There's nothing about coordination there. But I don't want to use up I used to go to practice once and get their papers like you could get their five, half of 5 cents, like look at this ledger paper that's stained, isn't that cool? I mean, it's just, it was made stuff, Make your paper of mine. Okay, I like it. Okay. But that's not big enough to be a cake. Yeah. Was when you fold it in half.
So I have the same packet of paper that I sent to you guys. So I'm going to just go through a little bit like the maps. You can cut those down or you can use them big and fold them in, so maps are cool.
Yeah, I read one of those maps.
And even though the dictionary pages are small, you might not use them, to sew in because they're small, but you could also use them for pockets on the other pages. So even though they're small, or you can fold them into little pockets and things.
Would you like a napkin from the?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
How are you doing with picking out paper? Having any challenges?
I haven't gotten up out of my chair yet. Is that a challenge?
And like the big music paper, you can use the whole thing, and where the fold is will go in the, be in your middle. And if you need to reinforce it, you could put a little bit of washi tape.
Yeah, I was just looking at some piano music that I brought.
And then like big sheets like this, you can fold in half, so that'll be.
I'm not because you had not been wonderful. Yeah, you are doing your job.
Yeah, just do it. This is top. Oh, no, I know. I know, bro. This is a habit. Done at the work. Now the place closed. It's great.
Here's a small book that I made out of a Jell-O box. So you could use that for your junk journal and put your small pages in that, and then have your fold outs and your tucks and pockets and everything.
Great. I missed the organization part of this. I was listening, but oh my God, I have so much stuff and I make jewelry and I don't know how to organize it.
Yeah.
How to organize it so that I can see it,
These are nice.
Yes.
Right now they're on sale for like $5 or $4. So they're nice because you can stack it. Huh?
I probably have to spend $1,000 on them.
Probably at a time,
Michael's has 20% off everything, including sale items right now.
I know. What I need to do is take a look at everything and get rid of some.
Oh, don't get rid of anything.
Well,
Give it to Carol.
Yeah. Carol,
Anything that means anything to you.
And if you collect a lot of stuff, you probably have containers.
I do.
Yeah. So like I found this little box at the thrift store. It had like English leather a long time ago. So I just turned it over and I, put my paper clips in there. So you probably have cool containers that you can utilize.
Cigar boxes. Yeah. I want to decorate those
Double
too.
thick real thin tape, so if you were going to.
This would be fun.
There's a box that I had my Apple phone in, and I have my little, watercolor powders in that. So.
Good, I did just
Yeah.
boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, here's just a little plastic container, and have my watercolor things in that.
Yeah. Oh, Maria.
I can't figure out what
I have a feeling
this is very, very, very challenging. Oh, my.
I kind of want to watch it. She's like, the way she does it is art. You know what I'm saying? And what she's creating is art.
Yes.
But just to watch her, it's like art in motion.
Oh my gosh. See, I haven't even thought of my name yet. I forgot my name when I came in. Look at how beautiful that is.
I know, she's
Well,
Turn around and show it to her. She'll be very impressed.
Oh, yeah. That's great. Now, were you thinking about what papers you? No. See, I overthink.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Can't
understand that.
overthink.
Yeah, it's deadly.
Yeah.
And
it's something, it's something that we do. I mean, we just think it's, I blame it on the nuns because
I do too.
Yeah,
to keep it scored.
Envelope.
Yes, I use the smaller. Yes, I believe it on Catholic. Are you Catholic? Were you Catholic?
When my youngest son was about 2, was when we stopped attending.
Stopped attending Catholic church?
Yes.
I got my hand slapped because I made my fourth. Wow, never forget that.
Oh. I got tackled because my mother didn't look. And that was 5th grade. And 5th grade girls should not be tackled.
Oh,
That's just.
And especially because of your mother should have been tackled.
Oh, to punish you. That is really sick. That's really sick.
When you fold your papers, it's good to have something hard like a bone folder or a credit card to press along that fold to make it as flat as possible.
Okay, phone fold.
Yeah, there is
The
one.
bone.
There's one here on the table.
Okay.
Yeah. So each page, fold it and then press it with that. You know, you could do a spoon, back of a spoon, or the credit card or bone folder.
You made progress.
You got a bone folder. You got 2 bone folders. Almost rotten. Lord Almighty.
Yeah. See, okay, now I'm going to town.
All right, she's going to town.
I had
Okay,
trouble
girls.
getting it open too. I had to ask for it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. Let's see. Ta-da.
Beautiful.
Did she send these bags, Carol? No, I got them. Where did you find these?
This is from some of that.
Dollar Tree.
Seriously? Oh my gosh. How are they not used? So I know how to look for them.
They're
They're
very
in
good.
about the
It's
middle
you.
aisle.
Woo!
They're packaged about half.
At the new Dollar Tree.
They're very good. What you got?
The one that used to be Sam House.
Parkway.
It used to be the Our House Furniture Store.
Oh, yeah.
But what's in there now?
A Dollar Tree. I'm happy to go
Yeah.
there.
And you know what else? The one over on Howe Avenue is very nice too.
I love Dollar
Where,
Tree.
Well, Avenue or town.
it's a new one on Howe, right in the shopping area. You know, by where Marshall's.
Oh, yeah.
Those stores are. The thing that's nice to me about the new ones is that they haven't gotten jumped up yet.
Right,
Yes,
right. It's like that. All right. Bone folder.
I'll be there in a second.
Okay.
She just has inspired me like crazy as far as like wrapping paper. When you were saying you were going through your wrapping paper and getting rid of a lot of them, I have wrapping paper that my kids laugh because it's been so long that I've been using the same wrapping paper.
Yeah.
I have Grinch wrapping paper, and so whoever has behaved really badly, get the Grinch, so I'm getting the Grinch. I love the Grinch.
Maria could cook us lunch.
Maybe she went to get lunch. Oh, no, she's there.
Still here. That's pretty paper.
Janice, did you see this?
I didn't even get into my stamp collection, Carol. I thought about it. I thought, no, I've got enough stuff. I can hardly lift the box I was bringing as it was.
This is the Artist Way book that took me through. It's just marked up, marked up, marked up, and it took me through 20 series. Look, look.
Oh my gosh, Carol, you worn that book out. You love that when you wear out a
Thank you,
book.
dear. Oh, you've got a good all. I'd like to be your friend and use your all.
Yeah, I forgot to bring my.
We sing a song at church that says, "You are my all and all."
Tomorrow we're having Thanksgiving.
I heard you're singing there on the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
I was disappointed because we have a Christmas party to go to that night. I would come and watch you.
Thanksgiving dinner is where, Carol?
I'm
Here.
sorry.
At this table.
Oh, no kidding.
Because we go over to Kevin and Diane's,
Oh,
but we
yeah.
don't get any leftovers.
I
Yeah.
remember you
So-
saying that.
We always have Thanksgiving dinner by ourselves.
See, I cook dinner. on
She says she
Wednesday before.
uses a 1/8 inch. She likes a 1/8 inch.
Yeah, that's open.
That's how she makes her pockets. I should have a bag out here for trash.
I'm saving the scraps of my scrapbooking ones because she does a lot of pockets and things.
She says quarter-inch will work.
Quarter-inch more. Let me see. No, your book. Because it seems like I'm just getting white pages there because of every backside.
Hold them the other way.
Hold them the other way. Okay. Oh, I see what you're doing. Oh, you got braille paper.
Got braille paper.
Let's see.
Back here for scraps. I don't know why I'm doing this. This is my problem. I get off task. And this is your glory is you do not.
I know, well,
Oh, it takes all kinds. Thank God.
oh, sweet.
That's
I,
why
I,
leave
I,
Maria's
I do
behind.
that, Carol, too. Yeah, it's like, oh, my, look at this. Oh, look at the orange. I mean, yes, oh,
Oh, you've got a great combination here, Maria.
yes, you do.
I like your different sizes. Was that in that
bingo
box?
paper, yeah. There, it was in that box, so there better be more.
You did that to honor our friendship.
I did. Thank you.
So you say if you don't want every other page to be white, fold them the
I'll go the opposite
opposite
way.
way.
You have two colors in a row, then you have two whites in a row.
Okay. Well, how's the movie?
Have you watched on TV that, the thing with, Amy Poehler and that guy?
The craft thing.
Yeah.
Yes, it's fun.
I was watching it this morning. Oh my God, look at this. Look at this combination.
Yes.
I'm gonna slip you some
I
money,
don't understand
Lori.
what I'm doing.
Have you take over
I'm
my
just trying to get my page.
It's very good choices. Very good. Oh, there you go.
Does anyone need help with getting their papers organized?
We're getting there.
We're getting
We're
there.
trying to figure out how every other page is in white.
Oh, and you'll be covering them with pockets and pictures and stuff, so it's okay.
I'm not. I'm not gonna-
I need 3 more papers.
Oops, hey, grab 2 more. You need, these ones here are just, strange. I'm gonna do that. Because Linda gave me one.
I need to get up and stretch my legs.
Oh.
Feel free.
Oh,
my
thank you,
shoulder
thank
and
you.
Take my purse out of the way.
That's here. Oh, oh, there. I have 10, it just seems like so many.
You know, I'm not gonna worry about it.
Yeah.
I found some scrapbook paper that's. Oh, yeah, you're not gonna come today.
Mine has been used for fine.
Oh.
There because our cat died. And he had
You hear that
to
now?
dig, he had to dig a hole and bury it. So I was at the library and, I was so surprised at crying because he is not, that is not his way. He was stoic. But he said to me, he said, I'm a fixer. And I wasn't able to fix this.
Yeah, that's
Oh
a
my
bad
gosh,
thing.
that's
What a
so
burden.
dear.
How old was your cat?
We were trying to figure out. I think she was 9 years old. And she had been an outside cat. It's always shortened their lifespan a little bit. And then our neighbor threatened our cat lives. So we had to get them to become inside cats. And so she became an inside cat for the last 3 years there. She got out, and he was not diligent about getting her in, and she picked up a cold, and she sneezed like crazy and what have you. And I think and there, by the time we realized that she was sick, she found a corner in the family room and checklisted.
Oh, Sarah, here. Terrible. Here we go.
Oh, it's so hard.
It's just all.
You know, I think
Would you bring over that
women,
I can steal?
no, hold it together.
Really? I don't.
You don't think they hold it together? You know,
Well, I don't think I
when we go to
personally
the
do.
vet to put the camera down, I just send Gene out. Not that I'm not crying and dying inside, but he's like losing it. And I think it's sometimes it's better.
Can you hold up before you?
I did. It could be like, or, you know, we
Yeah.
take care of.
What I found so interesting is we have little animals, and the one would not even come into the room where the animal had made a nest. She would come to the doorway, she'd look around, and then she would walk out. The other cat came in and moved her. It's just about broke
Oh
my
my
heart
God.
because Callie is not an affectionate cat.
Yeah.
She is a very arrogant, she's all that cats usually are.
Yeah,
And the dog did not eat this. Because the brush is very close to where the nest was. And so they're breathing in their own ways. It's so strange.
I think there's so much more to animals.
So after you get your papers folded, then we'll stitch them, and then you can work on making the pockets and folding and stuff. So it's okay if they're bigger than the manila envelope. Does anyone have 20 paper
If
picked
I
up?
have a piece of paper, can I fold it up before I stitch it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, and then one of my so-called friends wanted to need to be kind to each other. I so believe all of what you see about be kind, be kind, be kind, be kind.
I think there's a kindness backlash right now.
Yeah, can be bad. Oh, yeah. I think the one thing that I offered to Janice.
Yeah. Do you want something to do? Oh, never mind. I'm going as fast as I can.
See what happens when you're so quick. Yeah, my husband was like that at work. The better you are, more people will back of you.
And you set a very bad precedent.
Yeah.
Anywhere near 20?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Great time.
You were so excited. I remember you said, I'm so excited to be doing multimedia.
I am. But if I don't have clear yet, I know.
No, it's not. And I wasn't going to use this right to let you know what
I'm glad I didn't drink that extra pot of coffee. I was going to. Yeah, I usually have.
we usually have music.
Yeah.
Do our work,
Well,
which
maybe
is why.
Maria could sing.
I could
Yeah.
sing. I would put an end to all creativity.
I was singing
Oh, yeah,
I do music when I'm doing housework, and I do music when I'm doing artwork. Just-
I do artwork instead of housework.
I do too. Really?
I don't
Me
think
too.
That's why I believe that I should be paid. I should be paid for whatever. So therefore, I don't think my own.
Yeah.
Good.
Would you like to do an easy and loving friendship task? If you don't want to get out of your chair for?
Okay.
Would you count on me?
Anything else?
Are you including the card?
Mhm.
I think I'm gonna decorate with that. I have this. I
What? Oh, give me paper dolls.
$14. Well, I'm at 19. This is
I'm at whatever.
15,
15.
16.
No, that's 15. It was 14, this is 15.
We don't necessarily have to put, I have this.
You don't necessarily, oh, yeah.
You stopped in mid-stand.
Forget that one. One of these foam things.
That's really
They're
cool.
nice. Do
Yeah.
you do origami?
No, I haven't done it for years.
Oh, I love origami. I'm not very good at it. But it's not fun. I found
So I really only need one of these wheels, right?
I use the whole thing, but I try to get my
I
own.
was going to use,
If I absolutely, and then I just cut it completely into that. And now I've lost it. Are you using your bigger envelope?
Nope.
well, I can see this with
Don't even tell me that I can, this is the bigger envelope, isn't it?
Where's your other one? You don't
No.
Here's my other one. You want the smaller one, Carol?
Yeah, here.
Now I'm thinking.
I sure hope I cut these off.
Carol,
Yeah.
Yes,
it
darling.
doesn't matter.
You can always cut them later.
You want character, and character means flaws and differences. And are you having fun? I have just told you. Oh, God!
I think we have
Lord almighty.
OCD here.
We certainly do. I mean, it was an accident, but I. Oh, that's a miracle.
Counted and you had 20.
We have been listening to Christmas music. So there, it's so interesting because there's such a variety.
There is.
I know Taylor Swift even has a new Christmas.
Oh my God.
Kind of like it.
Me too, now
I
that
love
she's
her.
mature. I like her too.
You're not gonna say now that she's
Woman.
more mature?
No, no, but I mean, when she was really, really young and had kind of, well, all those little teen boppers
Yeah.
were, screaming at her and stuff. I kind of didn't feel like I fit in. But she's a beautiful young girl,
She
talented
is
as well.
strong, man. She is strong. Fighting the fight. She always seemed like she really cared about her dance stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
very much.
Really
Yes.
sincere caring.
Yes. Yes, I agree with that.
Does anyone have all their papers folded?
Yes. Maria knows.
Because I can explain how to do the stitching, and I can explain it over and over for each of you. And so, so you can still, some of you can still be getting your papers in line while I explain to the one who wants to do the stitching.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna stop.
As soon as I have cut this particular piece, I put my scissors down. There.
So you'll have, so hold up your book so it probably looks like this. Folded with your papers down, you know, folded in the middle. And they can be hanging over, that's okay. But so that they've all been folded with a bone folder or something hard so that they're as flat as possible. And they're in is the word crux of the fold? Yes. So they're all in the crux of the fold. And I find it helpful to get a book like this and open it up so that you're in the crux of the book. I don't know if Carol has a book.
Carol,
You have a book.
that's like asking.
You mean the little book that you sent?
What?
If you see the Cheryl, she's got a lot of books.
Yeah. She's wearing books, she's making books.
Yeah.
So you take the crux of the book like this, and you put your paper down in it, in the fold. And then if you want to measure, or you can eyeball it, but you'll want to take the awl and poke a hole all the way through, right on the fold in the center of your book. And you can measure it or eyeball it. If it's off, it's fine. But like in the middle, you're going to poke a hole through all your pages that are folded into the book, just so you don't poke yourself in your lap.
Pass it all around.
So you can borrow
Yeah.
mine.
I like some big.
All in the middle. And you have to hold it to make sure it doesn't move after you put that hole.
What do we just have one hole in the middle? Okay.
So you're going to fold all your papers with the manila envelope on the outside, and you're going to put the whole thing in the book and poke a hole all the way through in the middle, right on the fold.
Oh, okay. That way we don't damage it too.
Yeah, so you don't jam yourself.
Books. Carol went to get us books, I think, Janet.
Okay.
She's got a beautiful table that she probably doesn't want holes in.
Yeah, yeah.
I did it sideways.
Bookmakers have a tool that is like a wooden or a plastic frame like that you can put them in, but
Yeah.
we'll just use a book. And you can have 3 holes or 5 holes.
I need 5.
So like this one, I did 5 holes. And so I did one in the middle, and then I did one up about an inch and down an inch from the other edge. And then I did another inch, but you could do it in the middle between the 2 that you already have. So it's up to you. You could have 3 holes or 5 holes, either one. But you'll start out with 1 hole in the very center here.
Almost there. You're through.
And I can say this over and over and over, so don't worry about getting lost.
So you did it without a book?
Yeah, I just did it sideways like
Yeah.
that.
Hi, sweetie, you want to come in? Oh,
So,
hi.
Yeah, into the center, so it comes out the other side.
Just funny.
Oh, this is a big old. Ooh, wow, look at that.
So what are you discovering about the papers next to each other and the sizes and the ones you're picking?
I had to give up control.
Yeah. Is it hard to narrow it down to 20?
No, actually, it was hard to add to 20.
Yeah, I was a
Because
little.
I had a whole
Yeah.
stack over here that weren't very interesting. And it was like, okay, since I'm trapped between and can't get out, it was like,
yeah.
what are you going to give me? What do you have?
Any paper.
Did she say free or
Yours is nice and neat. There. Oh, well, I'm
Mine?
gonna fix it.
Not mine. Yeah, me too. I'm leaving a lot of them.
Yeah, you can trim them later. Fold them over.
Yeah.
Just throwing everything in my bag, but that's what I've been doing.
Carol, we're having fun, honey.
I'm right here.
Okay, anybody need the owl?
Yeah, now how do you know
I would
what distance
love
to
to
use it?
yeah.
Yes, yeah, it
Again.
doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of doing the
I
page
started
by
in the
page
middle.
to-
Start in the middle.
I
That's
did,
a
and
good
then,
idea.
yeah, and
Let's start with the beginning.
Oh.
A very good place to start.
Oh.
You read, you begin with C.
You know what's holding me back? Is that I cut some of the paper to do the 10 by 14 envelope, and I cut some of the paper to do the 9 by 12.
Mine's not even.
It's okay.
I'm gonna,
Don't worry
I'm
about
gonna
it.
fix
No,
it.
mine are
Or
I'll fix it
talk
later.
So now what are we?
That doesn't even matter, does it?
Nothing.
All creations
We're
are
waiting.
beautiful. Okay.
Oh,
I'm
gonna go through
almost
that
ready. Oh. Okay, gotta find the middle.
Mary Ellen, what was your cat's name?
Pandora, she was
Aw.
black and white out there. I thought I had a very, very good picture of her on my phone, and here it develops, it's on my old phone. So I'm hoping I can get enough charge to come up with it, because last Christmas I decided I wanted pictures of all the cats and dog, and you know dogs. You say,
You
come
buy
here,
these things at a craft store.
Oh, yeah, I bought it, it's a bead reamer, but it works the same way, because I didn't have it all.
Yeah.
But if you go to the jewelry, what the jewelry tools are, they'll have a bead reamer.
Now, what media do you usually work with, Maria?
I make jewelry.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What else do you do, Maria?
I do a lot of other stuff too.
Mhm.
I see, I feel it.
Lots of stuff.
I do lots of stuff. I knit.
Oh,
She's at a
Yeah.
knitting club.
I love to knit.
So she gets time to do it.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen those things, that you knit on your arm?
Yeah.
I think that looks like fun.
Yeah.
I've never
Never
felt like I
done
could
it.
do the needles.
Yeah.
I haven't tried for a long time. I was much younger when I tried it. I just didn't feel comfortable. I watched this YouTube video. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I've never done it.
Yeah.
It looks fun though.
I'm gonna have to get online. My computer just died, totally
Oh,
died.
yeah.
Oh,
And,
I happen to have about 3 sitting in my office.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I was on.
Are you offering her
AT&T and
to buy one?
I'm not from the different one.
AT&T, and then I was talking to Gateway, and everybody wants to charge me $99.
Don't forget to go through your envelope.
Thank you, Maria.
Yeah.
I forgot the envelopes. Well, I go along.
Well, no, you want to put the string through, right? To dangle your stuff though, if you want to put dangles on, that would.
You went through your envelope.
Oh, the front envelope. Oh, yeah.
This is hard. She didn't tell me it required effort. Not that picking out the 20 pages was.
Easy. Pretty exhausted.
I know. That's
I've
the
been pushing this thing.
the best thing about this is that
I'm just
my
doing page by
centerpiece
page.
is the graph page, so I can count the number.
Oh, are you smart?
I didn't do it on purpose. I just picked up my papers and put them.
Oh, that's so smart.
Yeah, it was pretty smart. It was pretty smart.
Oh, this is not good.
Need a bigger needle?
I might. Hold on.
Now, that's a tapestry needle. I think a pointed needle would work.
It doesn't matter.
Does it?
I even brought a mask in case something happens.
Oh my God.
Oh, and I had to bring my first pair of scissors.
Oh.
That's so happy. You were serious when you said you don't get rid of
Oh, you would not leave my house, Linda. Tell her, Carol.
We
Tell her, Dottie.
She has a beautiful, beautiful house.
We have one room we call the black hole. And if things go into the black hole, they may never come out again. And we were being very careful that as the cat was sick, that she didn't decide to nest in the black hole. Yeah. Don't hug anybody.
Okay, so are we stitching now? No.
So did you poke the hole in the center?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then did you do 3 or 5 holes?
Yes.
Okay.
Some of us, I'm a little slow.
The ones who did, the other ones that can catch up. So now put your needle through your thread. And since you have holes already, the needle will go in easily.
Okay,
And so you're using dental floss, right, Carol?
I've got dental floss here. I think Maria brought some cord.
I've got him.
So whatever you want to use. This is what I like to use just because I have a ton of it. I got it cheap. So whatever you want to use. Dental floss works. So you'll want like about 3 lengths of the book because you want to have enough extra so that you can tie things on the outside. So you get enough dental floss so that it goes 1, 2, 3. 3 lengths of the spine.
Okay.
Let me get this started.
And then you're going to take the needle and hold all your papers so that you can take the needle and go from the outside of the manila envelope through that. You can start at the top wherever your top is. Start at the top and go from the outside of the book through all those layers that you have a hole into the middle. Does that make sense?
Are the balls still? Okay.
So that.
She said start in the middle. She's not starting at the top and go towards the middle of the book.
Yeah, so you'll start at the top hole, and from the outside of the book, go through all the pages to the inside. And going from the outside to the inside is more difficult than from the inside to the outside. So once we go in that one, when the next hole will be easy to stick the needle through. Because you're in the, it's easier after we do the first hole of putting the needle through the first hole to the middle of the book. That's kind of hard to get them through all the holes. But then the next time when you stick the needle through the second hole to come out the back, is going to be easier.
How much do we leave?
About 3 lengths of the spine.
You want most of that to be outside. So now we're going through the middle.
Start at the top hole.
Right.
Yeah, and go clear to the center of the book. And then you're going to poke it through the next hole next to it to come out the back.
Okay, I'm a step behind because I was waiting for the out. Are we going to the outside to the inside?
Outside to the inside.
Outside to
At the top of the book. You go all the way through and then go to the next hole and come back in. And I said you gotta go the other direction. Well, this is the top. Yeah, but you start at the outside. You start on the outside. Oh, I thought she said start in the middle.
No, start at the top. No.
If you started in the middle, that's fine. It'll still work.
Yeah.
I start with making the holes in the middle, but when I sewed, I started at the top. But you don't have to. You can start in the middle with the sewing too, because you're going to end up back at the same hole.
So are we pulling this all through?
Pull it all the way through all the holes to the center of the book, and then go back through the next hole next to it, through them all to come to the back outside of the envelope. So look up here. So you're going to go from the outside into the top, come it, pull it through, go to the next hole, and then pull it out the back again.
What I'm saying is how much thread are we leaving out here?
Oh, just like,
Okay.
not too much. Yeah. You're going to work with most of it.
Yeah, okay.
And you'll be able to slide it too. So if you
Okay.
And then you just keep going in and out until you get to the bottom of the page. And just, pull it taut as you're going. Does everyone have 3 holes or 5 holes? What are you doing?
Did she just ask you guys a question?
I'm sorry.
Are you doing 3 holes or 5 holes?
I'm doing 3.
I'm doing
Yeah.
I was lucky to get 3.
What are you doing, Carol?
3. Believe me, I'm doing 3. I'm gonna do 1.
He's gonna do one big one.
Mine got off center. I don't think I've ever been there.
It doesn't matter.
No, I mean, no, I can't find where the hole is. And I'm not, since I'm gonna rework this one,
Have any of you looked at YouTube videos on how to make junk journals?
Yes, a little.
Yeah, they explain all this on the those videos too.
YouTube, and I thought we were gonna repurpose a book, and it's like, then I was very confused.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to do it. I thought this would be one way we could try, and then if you get excited, you could try other ways.
To get it
We have
right.
an extra owl here for a minute.
That's a good idea. Maybe if I can just somehow expose. No blood allowed, though.
As you said that.
Hey, that was a good idea. Good idea.
There's an owl.
Linda, did you put your mandala in the
So
middle?
much easier.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Perfect.
Sometimes people will put a button on the outside as they're threading it in and out. So that's another option, for another time, just to string a button before you go into the next hole. So that's what I did on this one.
Oh.
I strung the buttons as I was putting the thread in and out. So we're just going to keep it simple.
Mine wasn't even, maybe I'll cover it.
Yeah, but it's a junk journal, and if you don't want it,
Well, you know what? I'm not even gonna do that. I'm gonna add this ribbon or something.
I have some regular Scotch tape. Nope. Okay.
How's everybody doing?
I think we're
Pretty
okay.
good. Coming along. I'm not as behind as I thought I would be.
I'm as behind as I thought I would. But I got the,
Yes, I'm proud of you.
I got the envelopes. But now I'm gonna sort my papers better because I'm
Yeah.
admiring Linda's.
Yeah, hers is really good. Okay. Mine is,
Now we go back through. That was not right.
That's okay.
Go back through. How many times do you go back through?
I don't know.
Till I don't know, till it looks right.
So did you go from the top clear down to the bottom?
Yes.
And now start going back up. So you're going to end up back at the top again, going in and out.
Where do you end?
You'll end at the top with a little bit of space. You won't go to the same hole. You'll go to the next hole to the top. It'll come out. So you'll have the two ends on the outside. One will come out the top hole and one will come out the second hole.
Okay,
That's how you're going to end up.
That's what I got.
Okay, now, see if I can hold this. So now you have the thread in the second hole and the thread in the top. Now tie those together, and you can take the thread from the top hole and slip it under the thread from the second hole so that it grips that, and then just tie a couple knots so that it ends up looking like this.
Gotcha.
If you so choose.
We don't want options here.
Participation is always voluntary.
What the heck?
There it is. Stuff which direction it is. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going either. Well, once you get it, you'll just have the lens and this won't take up the.
Yeah, you're right.
It'll take up the slack.
You're right. Yeah. You're wrong.
I don't think I will want to do this for a living.
Mine really
Amen.
come on, ladies. First time.
Can you imagine those monks doing the calligraphy all day, every day?
I cannot. Okay.
Dottie, did you say you quilt?
I actually did a little tiny quilt. I can't make it a big quilt, but a small art quilt, that was fun.
Oh, really?
That was fun, yeah. I think the lesson. It was a lot of fun.
You take it.
Barn Sewing Shop, which I don't even think is around anymore.
Is it damaged?
They were yeah.
I'm still there.
I don't know if they're very long.
Gosh, I walk by there all the time and
I can see how you could get addicted to working on this. You know, just
Oh,
one
yeah.
more, just one more pocket.
Yeah.
I'll be right with you. Just one more pocket.
I'm with you there, Carol.
Why don't you do that?
I will, I'm just thinking, I've got one big table I need to get another. Get them in the basement. Lots of room down
You can
there.
come to my apartment and do them upstairs because we got lots of windows.
Okay. The only thing is they tell you that the fumes aren't real good for you. So maybe like in the summer when the windows are open, get more ventilation.
Yeah, the windows don't open up there.
No, ever.
Okay, well, through my basement, I've got doors, windows. I'm gonna do that.
And then you cut the ends of this thing off.
I'm leaving.
How's everybody doing?
Okay, good.
Yeah, you could string beads on.
Yeah.
I've got a box of beads if anybody gets that far.
Get the weeds out, will you, Carol?
They're out.
I want to get some beads
Oh,
from you
my
if you're still
I hoarded these.
giving them away.
I can't use them. I'm gonna do something for myself.
Yes.
I made my first memory wire,
Oh, yeah,
bracelet.
that's fun.
but I didn't have enough beads that, like, one row was one color and then the next and the next. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a jumble, but I just wanted to get the feel of doing it.
It's fun, isn't it?
It was very fun. And I think I was looking for something I could do, like, Paul's got TV on at night.
Yeah.
And I can sit in the same room with him.
Yeah.
I got a tray at Dollar Tree. It's actually, I think, for like a drawer for business stuff.
Oh, that's
I know you can buy things for beads, but they cost so much more.
Right.
So I
Right.
just,
whatever works.
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Let me get the beads.
Well,
Going to be good.
Did everybody
she
do
said to
20
start from the
pages?
outside.
I
I
know.
thought she said outside.
I
So you're gonna go
don't
through
know.
the
I think it's
center hole, but you
gonna
start
start
at the top. You start at the
Okay.
top. Yeah, I got mixed up because I thought that it was in the middle, but, and you've got 5 holes or 3?
5.
Okay, so just start at your top one, and then Maria, you better tell her.
Then go to
I'm
the,
only-
then you, so you go out, then you come up the next hole, or down the next hole, up the next hole, down the next hole. And then you continue coming back up until you get back up to the
So
top.
the only one that actually goes through all of them is
They all go through.
They all
They all
go
go
through.
through the holes.
Because that's the problem I'm hitting is taking it
Yeah.
through, they're not lined up
They're not lined
anymore.
up, it's hard.
And then I'm using the awl and I'm ending up tearing the first one, which is fine. I put something over it and
Yeah.
get it, but it's coming to
Sometimes,
the point where it's not
sometimes
fun.
people clip them. Sometimes people clip the pages to keep them more aligned. I found that it didn't really help, but some people do clip them,
Yeah.
with clips to hold it flat. You just kind of have to figure out what's comfortable for you to be able to go through them all.
Okay, I'm done. The book's made. Yay.
Yeah, you haven't put any memorabilia in there yet. I hate to point that out.
I'll be working on this the rest of my life.
At least tonight.
Oh my God.
Isn't that the truth? Okay.
I put one on.
This would make a really nice gift for my granddaughter when she graduates in 8th grade.
Showing her how to do it, yeah.
Well, not even, well, maybe just starting one for her that she could then add her own stuff to.
Well, Carol, I'm gonna borrow your needle and finish this sitcom because it's getting to the point where if something isn't fun anymore, it's
Done.
it's not fun.
This will suffice for now.
I
I can
refuse to
redo
do
that thread and, whatever, but just I left some
Honestly, with
angles.
you doing it in 5 minutes flat, how usually?
Oh, I don't think I did it exactly, but it'll hold together for now. I'll redo with some fishing line or something. My dental floss was mint green and I didn't like the mint green.
Well, then it smells good.
I use my You know what? You could go over that with some.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I'll redo, yeah, but it's enough. Stay together for now.
Garbadelli's wore him, my goodness. Hardly, I hear a voice. I'm way up in the mountains. I'm not mocking your book. I am in awe of your book because my book is unsewed, but it's okay.
Do you have a good needle?
I'm borrowing Carol's big needle. She doesn't know that yet.
No, I think it's Maria's big needle.
Oh, may I borrow?
You may.
Okay, I will get it to Carol and she.
Oh, you can keep it here.
So where is everyone on the stitching? Does everyone have the stitching done?
I have
my whole stuff.
We can help her.
I decided that I need a break.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Wow.
So excited.
Now, you can't do just book. You have other things you have to do.
Oh, gosh.
Yes, you can do this.
This is fun. I like this idea, this flap, and then too, they have a grommet. With a little. I know, I worked up a yeah, I know. I worked up a sweat doing that, Janet.
So now that you have it stitched, now you can add the other stuff to it. So would you like me to show you some different things that you could add to it?
Well, I think I've got an idea from what you showed us already, Janet, but
Okay.
I don't know about the other girls because I was paying more attention early on.
And maybe you can make that. When things are topsy-turvy and upside down, I did that. Carol was asking me about one of these, and I did a side theme of the movie Upside Down, which I think is just an amazing movie for understanding it. So,
What is it called?
Upside Down.
Oh,
Is this trash?
yes.
Do you think I should use floss or should I use some of that cord?
Cord is cool.
Okay.
Wow.
Did you?
No, what?
That pops.
I know. I love that. And then I've got all these little cards here. So I lots of little. Yeah. And I was thinking this bigger envelope.
I didn't see it.
Middle,
I know it was in there. It might have been on top of everything.
What is the theme of your?
I'm working on self-compassion. I've been studying this lady. Anyway, that's the next thing I really want to teach.
Hey, Janet, I just found your card. Thank you so much.
Anyway, that's my 2020 project.
Faith and trust or secrets in life, or but self-care. Values.
I want to bless you. I know Carol is interested in this. Carol went to high school with a lady named Sarah Rubel, and her only son died when he was like around 19, and he was away working for the summer. And the story is, as much as she understands, he had gotten like maybe strep infection, and then somehow that caused him. I've already told you this. Oh, I'll wait. Okay, so I'm up to the part where Scott died.
Okay.
And
How did he die?
that's what I was telling you.
That's what
I think he had strep or something. And somehow the infection caused him to die. And he just died. And I can't remember if he had seizures before. That's the part I don't. However, within a month after he passed, he started coming to Sarah, and she would hear just not audible, but good messages. So for all these years now, for a while they did a website called that, and Sarah started connecting people around the country who used children. And she got involved. She went to several events that were strictly for parents who had lost a child. And then as she started doing these entries online, it was just like she did these messages and she just was sure it was from Scott. And she never set out to think about communication after that. Never. But the more time went on, the messages were coming stronger, and he was telling her that this was their soul plan, that they were work together, and this was going to help other people. And so that's kind of the short version. It's now, they're into their second website. They made a book out of the first one, all the entries, called Death Teaches. Now they're doing Spirit, which is an idea that came from Scott to Sarah. And somewhere in the process of this, he's helping her to do past life readings for people and also helping them get spirit messages. So I told her I want to give her opportunities to do that because she's done it in another group that I'm in, and I have. So starting in January, every other month, and she will do like about a 20 privately, and then the rest of us will be doing something else. So what I want to know is, are any of you interested in knowing about that? It'll be about $25, so it shouldn't much. And she is so heartfelt and sincere. And I mean, I've been a little skeptical about even mediums and things like that, you know, like, but I have had two so profound experiences that nobody could make it up. One was with her, and one was with another medium in that church out in I mean, it was, she just could never have me up. It was much too deep, much too personal to me. And so I stay open. You know, I'm going to a meeting every month and stuff. But I just think Sarah has such, and she seems to be growing in it. You know, like, I don't want to say she's getting better at it, but in a way that's what's happening. She's getting the messages more clear. And both times, well, all three times that she has done that with me, I've gotten something very, very meaningful out of it.
Oh, you got a book on.
You're gonna do it sideways, like this.
And she says sometimes Spirit gets you ready for the messages. And we just did one on the phone yesterday, just a brief one, because there's something I'm working on in life. And I had gone to Gabriel Brothers to look for some gifts for my granddaughters that I could stick in. And while I was there, I thought, well, I'm just going to run through the little sweatshirt things for me. And the first one I pulled out is a black hoodie, and it's a little shorter one, and it says, faith requires trust. Wow. Well, I've run into this with trust now, like 4 or 5 times. So we're in the middle of what she was reading through for me, and she said, well, here's the thing, you just have to focus on trust. Wow. And I was like, oh my God. So I told her about the sweatshirt, and she said, see, that's what I meant. Spirit gets you ready.
It's like when I was doing the ministry training. I remember watching my sons do video games, and they would have characters, and the characters would tell them the thing that you need is that well, and over there, because it was just so clear.
So
even finding the napkins that were a big theme of this. I mean, what are the chances you could find napkins that said thankful, grateful, and blessed that they're, even though it's Thanksgiving.
Right. Are you doing
Well,
fussy
what it
cut?
says
You're doing fussy
I
cut.
have talked to a lot of other people that feel like more and more messages that we are sending messages that we are being guided individually in the most perfect way. Every day.
Carol, do you want to do it in the crux of a book?
I'm doing it.
Huh?
I'm putting my owl. I got my owl.
Do you want to do it in a book like this?
Oh.
It's easier to get the holes all lined up. So get a book and then put your book in it like this. And then you can go right through all your pages.
Yeah, that's true. I'm scared to move this. I'm afraid I'll get the middle ones out not aligned.
You could put a needle in it.
That's a good idea. Too. You have to do this again.
Don't ignore that.
Understood.
That's what I'm looking for.
Thank you, my darling.
Well, I would love to see that lady in Kent also. Her name is Elaine, and I'll have to find out her information. It was the first time I'd ever seen her, and I hadn't even gotten sat down in the chair. And she starts with this thing, and I was like, oh my God.
Wow, don't you love that when you meet somebody like that? It just.
I wasn't even planning on getting a reading that day. I was doing reflexology in a health fair setting, and I had like an hour between clients, and she had a vacancy, and so the lady that had organized it said, "Do you want to get a reading?" She said, "Okay." And I was like, "Okay."
I did. It hurts.
It's so hard to do. You're coming through. Okay, you're through.
Just birthed her baby there.
I birthed my baby with no medication. It's hard to do. And the nurses just were so upset with me.
I know.
I got an epidural because I was like, I want to go to this party, and I'm not feeling very good. But should be.
I had an epidural.
My best friend died of and they never told her. They told her she had anemia. But she had epidurals, one after another, spinal taps and all that. And then actually when I was an adult, I had to have one.
See, I think for every person, that's often you get this. We're not supposed to have that. On the other hand, I love
There's spinal taps. Wow, I have 3 of those there.
Thank you.
A little book that I can go to for unwinding my urges and cravings and or opposite events.
Serenity.
Yeah, but I mean, like a book that I can just.
I would like
go to
that.
will have.
it'll be like a little therapy thing.
Yes, like a little therapy book that I want to sit right by my window where I always sit and watch my birds, and I can be reminded. And then I could see making some books too, like because I need reminded of life lessons. My memory,
Constantly.
if I know it would all fit in little books, of what we've learned, that we've spent our lives learning these huge lessons. And then to have that to what my values are currently.
I love what you I use like a calendar, and then I just flash and so
Yeah, you had one that.
Did I bring one?
You had something like that night at the
Oh.
the second where we met in the little room. Yeah, I
Right.
don't know if you girls have met again since then.
I want
No, I wasn't. I didn't think it was really something that
I don't have to do a knot or anything.
it just wasn't the right thing.
not for me. Yeah. I need more kind of, I don't know, just more work. Something more something. Then what do I do? Then go down into this one.
Is this all we're gonna do for you guys?
Well, this is a weekend thing. We're spending the night.
We spent the weekend. Okay, I
But I'm not serving any food.
I
I brought some cheese and crackers. Yeah,
Now you come back up through these ones. Yeah, exactly.
I can tell you where they are. You go in the design room and look at the secretary to your left. I'll just open it.
Yeah, what's the time that's green?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
like
your shirt.
They do.
Yeah. Are those llamas?
Those are llamas.
Oh my gosh.
There. I love llamas.
No.
I need to get out here so bad.
Yeah. Oh, good. So I want to know what your past life was. What were you in your past life, Linda? Oh, she was your own.
Well,
Out of this one for a moment.
I have had thousands of past lives.
Whoa,
Most
yeah.
everybody has.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
What's your
And
most recent?
late 1700s.
Oh my God.
And now this one. There may have been others in between that I don't know about, but that's what we've talked about. Carol, I'm not sure where I'm supposed to go.
Okay, go to your right. Look to your right, and then open that thing.
You probably said right, and I went left.
You going to Dapple?
No, I was going for the paper clips.
Paper clip. You guys finish up. I have to get home. Like I said, my husband is sad. And we're going to a Christmas concert tonight. And that will be good because
Yeah, that's good.
he
Well,
needs.
tell him he's going to be okay.
It will be okay.
Just tell him, though. Tell him, you know.
Well, you know, I'd say let him have his grief.
Yes, yeah.
I
You
am
know,
so
yeah.
impressed
But
with
it
him.
helps to know that it will be over.
I don't know about that.
Well, it helps me.
I think grief, you know, I think the huge pain of it goes away, but I think there's an undercurrent every time.
Absolutely, but that horrible, horrible pain.
When I was in
going
to
here?
see my
Try it
counselor
together.
in October, she was pointing out that I had never really grieved my sister when she passed away last October. In fact, we have not even interred her ashes. But my sisters cannot get their act together to figure out who's going to pay for it and where we're going to do it and all that other stuff. So her ashes are sitting in my family room. And
Oh, no.
And down here or in the middle?
then my granddaughter,
But you didn't put beads on.
my granddaughter was living with us, and she eloped. And they moved out, and I have not processed that. And so when I was having a lot of depression in October, my counselor said, I think that you are having a delayed reaction to your sister and also in losing your granddaughter, because I made the mistake of saying to her, my family is getting smaller and smaller. And she was like, oh, okay, we're going to zero in on that statement. And so anyhow, my family got a little smaller with the loss of a little feline, and we're going to go home and embrace each other. And
Oh, sometime I'd like to go to the boulevard with you and Tim.
yes, I think that'd be fun.
We've
I'm
been
so
there twice.
surprised to hear that in shish kebab. That just sounds
Oh,
so good.
this is filet mignon. I can't eat steak unless it's really tender, so I'm usually I don't go to Diamond Grill anymore, but you know, I just can't eat it. And at Boulevard, I'm telling you, this shish kebab was better than what I've had at
Wow.
For $17.99.
Hey, sometime when you know you're going,
I know.
call and say,
That is
big
because
place.
we live within sight of the really wonderful. Start living there. So.
I love their fish.
I do too.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
I
what
don't,
Tom-
I
that's
don't
what
like
Tom
the
goes
weight
for.
for their fish, but
Oh.
thank you, lady.
Oh,
Thank you. I have to
you.
go. I did get home.
Lady Janet. Thank you, Lady Janet.
I'm being polite. My mother told me you never leave without saying goodbye to the hostess. And you are a hostess, and Carol is a hostess. There.
It's so good to see you again.
Out there. This was fun. It was even before I knew what the nonsense was going to go on. It was nice to have this to look forward to.
Absolutely.
The nonsense.
The shenanigans.
Yeah, shenanigans, dilly dally.
Oh my gosh, have you guys seen that commercial with it? They have these knitted suits that everybody gets for Christmas?
no.
They're like, what are those suits called? They're all in one.
Union Jacks.
Something like that, and all these people are pulling these things out, and the lady's talking about how she made them all for everybody.
Oh,
Knitted
no.
them and everything, and then she's getting ready to go on a cruise, and she pulls
Oh,
out this
yeah.
little
The
big bra.
bikini.
But before she says that, she said, something about her earrings. She says, these little big cookies. And then she this bra up to her. And bye. Take care of yourself.
Bye, Dottie.
Bye. This guy says, are those two Mickey?
Maria.
Oh my God.
Maria, my new friend. Bye-bye.
Nice to see you.
Take care, hon.
I've seen a couple commercials lately that have actually made me appreciate commercials.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You know what I think? There are commercials that when you see them the first 2 or 3 times, they really are impressive, and then after that, they're annoying.
Oh.
And I just wonder if an ad agency would be able to tell the shelf life of a
No.
commercial.
The part that's annoying is the it stays with you. The one I can hardly stand is, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two,
yes.
that insurance one. And I just blocked the guy from my head. I thought, oh no, here he comes. I told Paul.
That farmers.
Yes,
Yes.
farmers
Did you
insurance.
see the bird
Weird
cards I have?
No.
You wanna see them?
But, no, well, yeah, sure, I don't wanna miss a thing. Single thing. I don't wanna miss a single thing. I bet we're gonna meet and do this again. And go on weekend. It'll be fun. Maybe at my house on my big table, or in my studio when I get here up there.
Are you looking for the bird cards?
No.
Carol, did you get your sewn?
I'm all sewn and tied.
So do you want some ideas for the pages?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So like you can take 2 pages and glue the top and the bottom together, and then that would make a side pocket, is one idea. Or you could glue the side and bottom and have a top pocket. You can just put an envelope or pocket and glue it on, and then put a tag in there. Or you could make a pocket out of a magazine page and put it on there. You can fold in or up or down, or put another page and glue it at the top and fold it down. So you could have a fold down, fold up, fold out type thing. You could have a triangle shape. I'll cut just a triangle and glue it in the corner
Well, that's
Yeah.
a good idea.
like that, and that would make a pocket to fit in there. Tags can have a hole at the top or not. You can put ribbon. You could staple ribbon or paper to it. You could have little tabs, like take a little piece like this and put it on the end of the edge of the paper so that it pokes out a little bit,
Yeah, that's cute.
like that. That's kind of fun. You can use brads or beads and paper clips, little plain cards with ribbon stuck to it, glued to it and have it dangling off. One's like a little fussy cut, and I just glued it at the bottom so it made it into a pocket like that.
Oh, yeah, that's cute.
It's kind of fun to have ribbons sticking up and out. You could use tea bag papers, ribbons, string. And then on the cover then, the spine, when you're all done, you could add ribbon through this, string that you bound it. And then you could put beads on the string like this. And then you...
Where are you putting the ribbon? In the same hole as you used to bind your book?
You can slide it just behind the string.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, and tie it on. Yeah. You can put those little beads, or they have these little hooks, like they're kind of like little safety pins. Or you can use a safety pin.
Yeah.
And put that through ribbon and hook that on. And paper clips, they have all different sizes of paper clips.
Yeah.
Those are fun. And then you can put a little card or ribbon to decorate the paper clips. You can take a pretty picture and glue it on the back of cardstock to make a card and journal on it. You could put a hole in it with the ribbon or just have it plain. Here's some little, like here's a paper clip that I stitched some fabric on to kind of make it fancy. Here's a paper clip with a little bead. Here's a piece of paper from a dictionary that I folded and then sewed a little button on.
Oh, that's cute.
So that puts a little depth, thickness.
Do you have ideas? Is because you're really working in your studio a lot, does that sort of dissipate a little bit so you can sleep? I'm serious.
Yeah. It gives me a reason to get up every day and something to look forward to. So here's like a ticket with 2 tickets glued together with the paper clip. And then all sorts of different tags, and if there's any pretty pictures that you like out of magazines and those kind of things, maps and that kind of stuff, like the little cards that you can put in. This is, a tag, and I painted it and put a tea bag. Here's a little Flavia couch that I liked. So here I folded it up.
I wish I was your next door neighbor, Janice.
Really?
I wish you were too. I've put ads like on Facebook saying, does anyone want to do mixed media like in my area, and hasn't really worked out. So
Put it on Facebook.
here's a corner pocket. Here's the rest of the box of the macaroons, so I made it into a bookmark. Here's just a picture that I glued on. Here, this one I said filling blue items. Here's a little flip, and then it's kind of like a little book.
What does that say on the other side? Does it say, unwrap me?
Unwrap.
Oh, I got it. I won't let anybody unwrap me.
That was like a Alice in Wonderland theme, and you could make them into like gift tags, so I just used it as the page. Yeah. Here's some origami cards that I made into pockets.
Origami cards.
Map folded out. Oh, belly bands are when you take a piece of narrow paper and connected at the top and bottom so that you can slide something in there. And they can be vertical or horizontal. So a belly band is another thing you can do.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
And this is like I connected it on two sides, so then this just fits right, pops in there. And then a little girl on a little tape so she sticks up a little bit. So just any kind of tucks and folds and pockets and
Need to write a book.
and this one I just cut two little places in the page so that her little legs could fit in there.
Oh, that's.
You could use like little paper dolls. Sometimes people, you know, have the paper dolls saying something. This is a
Thing with your paper doll saying something. How about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
and any quotes and stuff like that, you know. Here's like questions, and then I used a little brad to stick it in that hole. Here's another belly band.
Well, you don't want to have two pages that are anywhere alike. You know,
No. And then like a little hole, you know, round circle punch that you can glue together, and then that makes just a little tab for your bookmarks. So, and then I put it through the string, and then I can just keep it on there. My daughter dyes fabric, so she gave me some fabric.
Her daughter dyes fabric. Wow.
Her degree is fiber arts major, and so
so
what do you do
Jan,
with that?
I wanted to ask you the books that you've made so far. How many books have you made in this string of books that you've been making?
Oh, probably 20.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you ever write in them after they're all done?
I haven't yet. I'm just making them now. Like here's all the wrap ones.
Oh my God.
Say 20 books.
Oh my.
Here's one with painted on glossy paper.
Yeah.
And that's with the gauze that I just dyed. And then I put some little buttons on the ends. So this is a small size. And so these are all watercolor that I made.
So you can take odds and ends from other art projects and incorporate them in your book.
Right, yeah. Any little picture you like out of a magazine, you know, what do you do with that? You like the picture, what do you do with it? But, you know, I just like that recipe picture and, you know, or different scrapbook paper. This was kind of glittery, so I kind of liked it, but what do you do with it? You know? And so.
Yeah, I have those pinches that'll make the corner of your edges rounded.
Yeah, and like paint chips, you can, you know, write on them. So on the back there's words, but on the front it's just the paint.
Yeah.
Like the Braille paper. Here's another belly band. And then I just folded that around to make a little cover. And this was like shiny paper that I kind of liked. So any kind of scraps and
On the door. Yeah.
Ask her if she can kind of.
I went to the thrift store and I found this dress that had 30 buttons along the bottom.
Oh.
And so I bought it and took all the buttons off. And then I donated the dress back because it didn't ruin the dress. And I thought that was a good deal. And it was like $6 for 30 buttons. And they're like mother of pearl buttons.
Oh.
And then I went to this other thrift store, found a dress that had 197 buttons for $3. I was so excited. So.
Here's one of your.
Oh, yeah, one of my banners. So, you can get little buttons real, inexpensively at the thrift store.
I don't know, she's painting it up quite a bit. You remember what this one was made out of?
Is it slick? I think it might be Yupo paper.
Oh, yeah.
Yupo?
And Yupo is a plastic, and so you can use like alcohol inks or watercolor on it, and it doesn't soak in. And if you don't like it, you can wash it off. Like if you used alcohol inks, you could just use alcohol and clean it off. So it's kind of a fun, it's non-porous.
I just heard it. I got it.
And then this was one that I made out of a piece of paper. If you're familiar with rap, we have big Post-it sheets that we write people's answers on. And so I used a big sheet of that to make the cover. And then inside are all the pockets that I made for each of the lists. And so I just used scrapbook paper for that, and then just folded. And then like this one I stitched on.
Wow, look, there's a little pocket inside of there.
Yeah. So this looks like, I made it to look like a little file folder.
Cute. Oh, that's cute.
And then just stitched the pocket. And then this is a belly band, so it slides out. And then this is a little pad of paper that you can slide.
I like that little pad of paper.
Yeah. And then this one was a trifold, and so I just glued it together so that it made 2 pockets, one on each side. There's all sorts of ideas on YouTube of what people have done, and like little pockets and folding a page to make them into a folder and things like that. This one I made into a side pocket and a belly band. This one's a flip up. So this was just a little scrap piece of paper that I made into a little corner pocket.
A lot of it I just
Great.
Yeah. So do you need anything else?
Yeah, this has been so fun. Thank you so much. You're the best teacher ever.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're
Everybody
welcome.
with a book. With a book. And I can't wait to see what they do with it.
I know. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Now tell me before we go though, where in Kentucky you are.
I'm in southwest Kentucky, right near Land Between the Lakes. I don't know if you're familiar, but there's 2 long, there used to be rivers and they've, dammed them up. So there's 2 rivers, and the land in between there is a national forest. And that's why we moved here for that. My husband manages that national forest.
You got a nice view all around.
Yeah, lots of deer and raccoons and squirrels and even armadillos.
Fabulous. Oh,
Yeah.
well, how nice. Thank you so much.
I think I put it back together wrong.
So how do you all know Carol from different clubs?
Wow.
Classes.
Janice is in my book group, and I met her at church.
Artist's Way.
Yeah.
I met Dottie with the Artist's Way,
And me.
and Linda, and I met Mary Ellen at Laughing Club.
And Maria and Centennial. Right?
Maria, I met Maria through my son, where she worked.
Oh, that's neat. And you have a lovely home and space. Thank you for inviting us all here today, Carol.
Thank
I
you
hope,
so
I hope
much.
you can come up in the spring.
Yeah, I'd love to.
So
I
fun.
wish she could come for the retreat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Except if she came, it would be fun.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, super.
All right. So I can see if I can send you this recording if you want it. So we'll see how that goes. So, all right. So I'm going to go.
If you
Okay.
send
All
it,
right, take
if you
care.
send it to me, can I send it to them?
Yeah. I think, I'm not sure if you have to have a Zoom account to watch it or not. We can figure that out. I'll send it to you and then you see if you can watch it and then see if you can send it to them. I don't know if they have to sign up for Zoom or not, but yeah.
I don't know anything
Great,
about Zoom.
thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
Thank you.
Blowing kisses to you.
Yeah, we're blowing kisses.
Bye-bye.
Bye.